Hello. Thank you for joining me. My name is Rhoda Aglago. Thank you, thank you. Good evening, good morning, good night, and of course, my goodness, it's been a strange week. This week has been a strange one, and I will explain in a minute. The week started out with a lot of strange things happening, and then it ended up being really good. I had a friend who was having some weird things about a possum in their attic, and so when I heard that story, that kind of made me think, oh my goodness, how did the possum get there? I don't know, not my problem, I don't understand. But then I remember looking in a tree in a backyard, and then I saw this huge gaping hole in this big tree, and I thought, that's weird, I've never noticed that. And I kid you not, as I was looking in there, a raccoon crawled out. I kid you not. A raccoon crawled out. And I thought, that certainly answers my possum in the attic question. And it's almost like leave it to nature to address itself. Because I was wondering, how did the possum get in somebody's attic? And it dawned on me, and of course looking outside in the backyard, and I see this big tree, and it's got a hole, and a raccoon crawled out. So things do happen, and I thought, okay, that's funny. And then we were indoors, and like lots of weird things happened this week that I thought was pretty strange. We were indoors, and then we heard this pecking noise. Peck, 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 peck. And I'm thinking, what is it? I look out the window. It's a woodpecker pecking on the side of the house. And I'm thinking, now that's a confused woodpecker pecking on a house, the siding on a house, thinking it's wood. I don't get it. But something was amiss with nature this week, and things were happening on their own. I hope everybody had a great week today. Today's topic is very interesting to me. It's regarding how people start resuming some sort of quote-unquote normalcy after dealing with grief or a sudden loss in their family when they didn't expect it. And then when it did happen, they realized that they had to pull something from themselves, something deep within themselves to survive it or to get through it. And once they're going through it, they realize that they were operating strictly on adrenaline. So how do you resume some sort of normalcy after being on heightened adrenaline rush to get through the pain, the process, and the difficulties and all the stuff that's coming at you? How do you regain or resume some sort of normalcy? Because normal, the word normal, prior to the loss, prior to the difficulties, or prior to the storm, is different from this level of normalcy that you're going to have to develop, muscle up, or create. It will never look the same again. I have people as they go, I just want things to be back to normal. Here's the fact. It would never be back to normal because the person you were prior to the loss or the trauma or the difficulty or whatever you may be dealing with, the person you used to be prior to that would never be the same. Let me be clear on this. That person would never be the same again because too much has happened. Too much has happened to change your perspective on life, to change your perspective on what gives you joy, what gave you peace, what gave you understanding, and how you fit in the society or in the community that you live in is different. Even the family that you're a part of becomes different. It is never going to be the same. So let's get that straight and let's get that out of the way. I hear people get so frustrated. I just want things to be back to normal. Normal is going to have to take a whole new set of definition. You would have to rearrange your process. I think sometimes when people lose a loved one or when the trauma happens, they want to quickly be done with the pain so they can get back to where they used to be. And it's not going to happen. So I think it becomes more of a loss of two. You've lost this person that has left a hole in your heart, and you're feeling angry and probably resentful and going through the usual grieving process. Whilst you're going through the grieving process, you're also having to deal with the grief of the person you used to be and letting go of who you used to be before all the fallout or the pain and all the devastation or whatever you may call it. And once you recognize this, it is important to see yourself in the present. This is what I have learned thus far. When people are going through a difficult situation, sometimes they tend to want to rush out of the pain because the pain is unbearable, or the grief is unbearable, the loss is unbearable. So people begin to seek out a quicker way to heal, a quicker way to get through this moment. Here's the fact. You can never rush these things. Rushing it would only harm you. Rushing it would only prevent you from receiving what belongs to you. That is the growth that happens through the process of the grieving, through the process of getting down and dirty with what is happening. It is powerful when you allow yourself to calmly and purposefully walk through this terrain and realize that you are taking steps towards your own emotional growth and checking your resilience. Because that emotional growth, when you begin to focus and assess it, you begin to see there's a level of resiliency that you are building. And it's not easy. It's painful. It's unpredictable. It's hard. And of course, there are no guarantees. There are no guarantees because the healing process and creating the normalcy looks different for everybody. And somebody may come to you and say, oh, they did this and that, and it was perfect, it helped them, and they're better, they're doing great. Wonderful. I think it's amazing that somebody has found a great tool to help them. But here's the fact. Not everybody has the strength or the wherewithal to follow the path you are on or to follow the plan you are on. Great if you found a plan that works for you and it makes things a lot easier to handle. That's wonderful. But keep in mind, others might need a minute. Others might need a few steps. And of course, others might just need a little more time being down in the dumps. There is no timetable on grief. There is no timetable on recovery. And there isn't any timetable on growing through it and recognizing they're stronger. They didn't think they could handle it. But once they learn to handle it, they're stronger. Because once you put a timetable on it, you have limited the person going through it. I hear people say, why? I don't understand. This happened a long time ago. Why are they still holding on to it? Grief to everybody is different. Grief will look different for people in the same household. Every single person grieves differently. Every single person goes through it differently, or by understanding or trying to make sense of it or defining what that looks like. It's different for everybody. And I think the more we take the time to recognize the fact that it is different for everybody, and every person needs to be treated as an individual who is going through it. And what works for the neighbor or what works for someone 2 years ago will not work for the person who is going through this right now. And it may look different. It may also look different based on their family dynamics and how they are related to the loss of the person that they lost. It is very different. And I think we need to be mindful of that and take into account the burden that it brings to a person's heart. We cannot forget how difficult it can be to some people. And like I said, grief looks different to everyone. So we cannot put a timetable on it and say, oh, somebody went through it 6 months, somebody went through it a year, and then they're good. That's wonderful. But the next door neighbor or your sister or brother may need another year, another 6 months, another 2 years. It is their prerogative. I think we need to be mindful of that and encourage one another to accept everyone's own grief processing and understanding. Like I said, there's no need to rush through it, because when you rush through it, we will not recognize the lessons or the strength or the abilities that we have through the pain and through the processing. And believe me, when you have been hooked on adrenaline for a while, it's even harder to admit to yourself that you were addicted to heroin. I'm sorry, not heroin, to adrenaline. I meant adrenaline. Sorry for the word mix-up. The adrenaline addiction is real. I'll give you an example. Years ago, I remember I was taking classes, and then I was working 3 jobs, and I have a daughter, and I was doing some work. I mean, like I said, the 3 jobs, taking care of a child, and then making sure I made the food, cleaned the house, do what I needed to do. And also try and get some sleep. I kid you not, I was living on 3 hours of sleep every day. And it was tough. A lot of chaos was happening around me. And a lot of pain. And I kept telling myself, I cannot slow down. I cannot slow down. I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going. I cannot slow down. I gotta keep going because, people are depending on me. I have to show up. I have to do what I gotta do. And I kept being like that. And then once classes was done and I was left with just one job and taking care of my child, I was able to take care of everything that I needed to take care of. I went through a withdrawal, and it was very difficult because I would sit there and just cry and not know why I was crying. And it bothered me. And I would be offended at myself for reacting that way, for crying, for wondering what is wrong with me. And I thought, this is so silly. That was, like I said, almost 12 years ago, I guess. And then I went to this counselor. And she said, oh my goodness, you don't recognize what is happening, do you? And I was like, I don't understand. What do you mean? I don't get it. I used to do this and this and this. And now she's like, yeah, but you don't do those things anymore. The storm is over. The pain and the disillusions are over. And now what you have is real in front of you. You have to deal. You don't need the adrenaline to help you anymore. You don't need to be on a go like that. You can take it easy. You can actually get more than 8 hours of sleep a night if you want to. But it's available for you. You can actually sit down and have a good meal and not feel like you need to be eating on the road or standing. Guess what? You don't need the adrenaline to keep you going on only 3 hours of sleep per day. And I thought, what do you mean? She said, I hate to break this to you. You are addicted to the adrenaline and you were living on it as though it was the only thing that could fuel you. So you kept going and going and going. And now you no longer need it. You're thinking like, okay, am I crashing? You're not crashing. You just don't need it anymore. Your body needs to learn now to settle into the peace. To settle into the place of it's okay. It's okay. And you'll be okay. And things are actually beginning to work out a little bit better than you thought. So take the time to take care of yourself. And when she said that, I thought, well, that's not fair. And she asked me, what is not fair? And I said, well, I used to do so much more. And she said, do you need to do all that you used to do? And I said, well, no, but I used to have so much more. So what exactly are you asking for? You're asking to be on such heightened alert all the time when you don't need it. And not do what you need to take care of yourself. I listened to her and I looked at her with a blank face, like, what? And she explained to me. You no longer need the adrenaline. You no longer need the adrenaline to drive you, to keep you going. The adrenaline is not needed. And I thought, oh, and it's so strange that she had to repeat it a couple of times in order for me to get it, because my mind was so used to being in that heightened state and wanting that drive to keep me going. And then when I recognized what she said after she repeated it, like I just did, then I was like, oh, Well, then what do I do with myself? I thought, wait a minute. What do I do with myself? I don't know anymore. Because I've been going and going for so long, I do not even recognize myself as to why this is happening. What is it? How is this possible? What is going on? And that's when I had to start learning and understanding how much the adrenaline was driving my whole being. So today, this is what I'm going to focus on. How do you establish some form of normalcy that you can actually recognize? Because the old you, or the person you used to be, has changed a little bit and grown a little more, and it's a little more bruised emotionally based on what you've been through and what you're dealing with. And it's okay. You can get through it. Understand, you can get through it because guess what? You're made of good stuff. Really good stuff. And you will rise above this one too. Oops. When you're going through this, it is very important to recognize something. Most people are not able to do more than one thing at a time. The fact of the pressure and the stress and the pain that people are going through, it makes it very difficult to focus. So there's usually a lack of focus with this. That's the first thing you will notice. Why? Because this is the time where your mind becomes flooded with a whole lot of things. It becomes so flooded with so much that you're not able to see anything else. You're not able to recognize where you need to stop and pay attention. I had someone tell me that they feel like their mind is crowded. Those of you who have been through something like this will understand it. Those who haven't, be thankful you haven't experienced something like this before. Yes, I've had several people tell me that their mind felt like it was crowded. And that's real to them. It's because that's what they're experiencing. When an individual comes to me for grief processing, one of the things I used to always pay attention to is how scattered they feel. And it's not because they're actually doing it on purpose. It's because the pain and the situation that's going on is overwhelming. It's extremely overwhelming to them. And because of that, I hear some of them say, I'm not myself. And of course, I always say, it's okay. This is a safe place. Others will be in denial, but that's okay. That is what they're going through at that time, at that moment, because grief processing looks different for everybody. And some people might go through the stage of denial first, or some people may go to acceptance first. It depends who they are. Some people might go through the bargaining. Some people might go to the peace right away because it is what it is. And then later on they get mad about it. and the bargaining. It's different from everybody, for everybody. So it's okay to see that the patterns may not match. Okay? People begin to feel that what used to excite them or bring them joy is now pointless. It no longer looks like something that they used to do. They might see it and not even recognize it. And they might see what used to bring them joy and then look at it and not flinch. They won't even smile or laugh. They'll just look at the whole thing's pointless, like blankly. It means nothing. Another way that people might think of when they're going through all this stuff is this. Sometimes you become very anxious. People become very anxious about seeing other people in their home or socializing with others, and because it becomes difficult, they don't want to see people, and it's okay. Sometimes people go, oh well, they need to see other people so they can get out of their funk. Unless you're in their shoes, you can't make that blank statement. Step in their shoes for a second, and I promise you begin to recognize why they don't want to socialize. Another way that people might express what they're going through is this. You become too invested in hiding your emotions, especially from other people and those who love you. You start putting up a facade. You're not okay, but you're showing everybody, oh, you're okay, everything is perfect. Another way that people are struggling with the grief or with the pain of trauma or whatever it is that they're going through. Others who feel, or you would feel, unsafe and unsure of yourself in the world anymore, in your community, in your environment, in your family anymore. Because, it shakes you to the core, to the point where you don't feel safe. Fear becomes a new space. Fear creates a new space in you. And of course, those who know you before the loss or the grief go, this is not you, you're not yourself. Yes, they're not themselves. You make decisions to wait it out at home because you start relying on old saying, the all-time old saying, time heals all wounds. I'm sure you've heard that several times. Time heals all wounds. This old saying is such a cliche, sometimes I wonder why we still say it. It really doesn't help. It just gets put away for a moment until you're able to rehash it and bring it back. Put in a box and put on a shelf. But it's there and it can be picked up anytime. Now, normal takes a whole new meaning. Resuming normal activity takes a whole new meaning. That means you may never look at your normalcy or normal activity the same way it was before the loss or the storm or the death. Rather, you start to focus on the possible little wins. The possible little wins are actually small steps, small victories for each day. Things that you will do that normally may seem mundane, as simple as brushing your teeth, becomes an accomplishment. Simple things that you do, and you have to pat yourself in the back and say, wow, I did that. Because guess what? A little bit goes a long way. One at a time. These are the stuff that makes you feel like you're winning. Even though to the outsider who is looking in from outside may not understand and say, oh, why is that a big deal? Yes, it's a big deal when you feel like you can lay in bed for 3-4 days and not be able to get up. Yeah, so the day that you do get up and brush your teeth, it is a big deal. Now, do you see why? This is how you begin to create your wins and begin to have some sort of accomplishment daily. And they go as this way. I've got a few steps. Number 1, establish healthy routines for yourself. Establishing healthy routines is a great way to start validating yourself and not looking for someone to validate you, but literally validating yourself and realize that you are important and you need to take these healthy steps to take care of you. Yes, the healthy steps you begin to take or routines are there to take care of you and allow you to become stronger, more positive. Number 2, what is something that you can do daily that does not take much time or effort at all? I'll give you some example. Getting out of bed or making the bed. You see, one time I tried to make my bed and I time myself. I do make my bed every day. But the other day I decided to time myself to see how long does it really take. And if so, why is it that some mornings I don't feel like making the bed? Even though it only takes a couple of minutes. And to my surprise, I timed myself. I made my bed within 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes I finished making my bed. And I'm like, wait, that's it? It was easy. And when I finished making the bed, I recognized something. It literally set the whole entire room. It made my room look clean and well kept and organized just by making my bed. That's a win. When you get out of bed and make the bed, that alone is a win. Number 3, grooming thyself is great for resuming some sort of normalcy. Taking a shower or a bath. Your self-care is the number 4. Working out, preparing healthy meals, making healthy choices, taking care of your hair and nails, and some men who do decide to shave. All that is part of the self-care. Taking the time to rest is the self-care. Even things as simple as meditation is part of the self-care. Because when you do this, what you are literally saying is you are taking the time to fill into yourself what you need in order to get through just the one day. Not a whole week, Not a whole month and not a year. Just the one day you woke up, you're saying, thank you, I woke up. Thank you, I can hear the birds. Thank you, my hands work, my feet work. I can feel them, my eyes can see. Now, these little things you can do to take care of yourself is very important. Self-care is important. Number 5, making the healthy choices both for food and beverage is very important. It doesn't take much effort at all. Instead of reaching to something that is not healthy for you, you might want to reach for something that's healthy, like water, which is great for us. It is absolutely important to recognize the healthy choices do make a difference in our lives. The healthy choices can create something that will give us a way to feel good. The healthy choice allows you to become literally creative, healthy choices. You get creative about choosing. Make it fun. Even though that's not your goal, but make it fun for yourself. I have a friend, when we talk about healthy choices, she said the whole week should make healthy choices. But when it comes to the weekend, all bets are off. All better off. And I was like, wait, that would defeat the purpose. So you do all that good choices, food choices and beverage choices during the week, and then after Friday you just throw in the towel and say, that's when she said, yeah, she has to have 2 days off so she can do what she wants. Number 6, reach out to someone who cares about you, someone who loves you, someone you can communicate freely with and let them know how you're feeling. And that someone can actually cheer you on and cheer you up. It is important to have somebody that you can go to and be completely vulnerable, completely open, completely honest with your emotions as you are feeling them. Because as you do, you are creating a moment for that person to know that they can trust you too. Because guess what? Equity-based relationships last longer. Equity-based relationships are so genuine and so sweet and yet strong because you can begin to count on that. That's why it's important to reach out to that individual and be honest about your emotions. Let them get you through. Let them be there to support you. Here's what sometimes I always become aware of. When you take care of someone or you love someone and you want to provide the best that you can for them, it is absolutely imperative to allow yourself, the person who is receiving the help or receiving the assistance, to allow themselves to be helped. Here's what I notice. Sometimes people are so hard on themselves that they really cannot open themselves up to allow somebody to help them or somebody to be present for them. understand is you're building equity by doing so. Because if you give the person a chance to be there for you, when it's time for you to be there for that person, it becomes a no-brainer because it's something that has been established between the two of you that you will be there and vice versa, you'll be there too. So allow this equitable relationship to develop. But when you don't rely, at least give the person that you care about a chance to help you, a chance to take care of you and provide something good for you, then you are preventing your relationship, your two-way relationship, to become one direction. And that is not healthy. That is not an equity-based relationship. You need to allow yourself to receive from your friends or your loved ones. And allow them to grow with you. It's very, very important. Because without that, there's nothing else. I hope today was great. You've learned something, and I am glad I was able to impart some knowledge and what I have learned thus far in my life. My name is Rhoda Aglago once again. Thank you for joining me on Love, Forgive, Live podcast. Those who want to contact me, please contact me on love, L-U-V, 4, the number 4, give, G-I-V-E, live, L-I-V-E, at gmail.com. Once again, love, for, give, live, at gmail.com. I'll be glad to answer any questions you need. And if you need me to cover a topic, go ahead and let me know. And I'll do my best to communicate that and provide what is needed so that we can both enjoy this podcast together. Because guess what? Once we learn to grow and come to a place of understanding for both of us, I think we will become much more versed in this life that we are in. This week I did not do my live stream, so next week I will do a live stream. This week was a very difficult week in terms of activities and trying to get to everyone and doing what we need to do. Not to mention the funny story I told you about the possum and the raccoon. Anyways, but next week I will do the live stream on Tuesday at 8:15. That's the normal time that I do the live stream. And then, of course, I understand people may not be around to watch or be a part of the live stream, but it's okay, because once you become a part of my regulars, you will begin to learn more about it. I am excited every week, every other week when I have to do a live stream, because it's important to me. So that will be on, my goodness, that'll be on July 27th. July 27th will be when I will do the next live stream, okay? And I look forward to everybody being there, and then I'll talk about a topic. Thank you very much, and have an amazing week. Love you. Take care. And of course, take the time to love one another. Be kind. This is Shraddha again from Love, Forgive, Live. Have an amazing week. Take care. Bye-bye.